Okay, in this video, we're going to be solving multi-step equations involving natural logarithms. So it says we need to condense into a single logarithm, get the logarithm by itself. That means on the equation, you want nothing but a logarithm on one side and everything else on the other side, and then rewrite in exponential form, which means you can write ln as log base e. Okay, so let's look at the first one. We need to get that 4 moved to the other side so we can divide. So that gives us ln of 4x is equal to 4. Okay, so we've isolated the logarithm. Now we can rewrite it as log base e, because that's what an ln is. It's a log with a base e, the natural exponential function of 4x is equal to 4. And then we can convert this to an exponential function by using the circle method. So it will give you e to the 4 is equal to 4x. And to solve for x, you divide both sides by 4. So you get x is equal to e to the 4 over 4. Okay, you could put that in your calculator and get a decimal answer, but it won't be completely accurate because e is an irrational number. I mean, decimal would go on forever if you try to put this into your calculator. So this is the best form right here. All right, let's look at the next one. We want to subtract the 4 from both sides. We're trying to isolate the ln there. So that will give us ln of x minus 1 is equal to -1. Change that into log base e of x minus 1 equals -1. And then do the circle. So that would give us e to the -1, which is 1 over e. We'll write that in the next step, equals x minus 1. Okay, so that is, we add the 1, so it would be plus 1. It would be 1 over e. That's what this is, e to the -1, plus 1 is equal to x. Okay, let's try the next one. So we have 2 logarithms on this one. Okay, so we want to condense that to a single logarithm, which means that we need to use the product rule. When you add 2 of the logarithms with the same base, you can combine them using multiplication. So it would be 1 ln of, and then you multiply the 2 insides, the 2 arguments. So 2 times x minus 1, and then equals 4. Okay, you could distribute that if you want. And let's write that as a log base e of, let's see, 2x minus 2 equals 4. Then use the circle method to the 4. That's sloppy. And there we go. So we get e to the 4 equals 2x minus 2. We add the 2 to both sides. So that's e to the 4 plus 2 is equal to 2x. And then we divide 2 on both sides. So we get x is equal to e to the 4th plus 2, all divided by 2. Okay, let's look at these next few problems. Okay, so the first thing I want to do on this one is move the 3 to the other side by subtraction. That will give me -2 ln of x equals 1. And then I can divide the -2 on both sides, which will give me ln of x equals -1/2. Convert that to an e, log base e of x equals -1/2. And you get e to the -1/2 equals x. And that's usually fine to write it in that way, but you may need to write this as a positive exponent, which means you need to bring it underneath, which would be 1 over e to the positive 1/2 equals x. And you could also rewrite the 1/2 exponent as a square root, so you could write as 1 over square root of e. And that's probably the best way to write it here, but all 3 of these are correct, just depending on the form that you want to write it in. Okay, let's look at the next one. We're going to divide by 2 to get that ln by itself. So ln of 7x is equal to -1. Change that into log base e of 7x equals -1. Use the circle. So we get e to the -1 equals 7x. That's 1 over e is equal to 7x. And if we divide both sides by 7, divide by 7, or think of it as multiplying it by 1/7, because it may be easier on the other side to see it that way. Dividing by 7 can be multiplying by 1/7. Either way, they cancel, and you multiply this by 1 over 7, and it's easier to see, oh, the 7 goes down there with the e. Okay, so it would be 1 over 7e equals x. And that was kind of messy. Let me write that again. 1 over 7e is equal to x. Okay, last one. We have x, or ln of x minus 1, and then another ln. So we need to combine these. It's subtraction. So we can use the quotient rule that says if you have the same base, then you could bring it together as one logarithm and divide. The x minus 1 is the one that would go on top, and the 3 is the one that would go on bottom. Okay. There, it's a single logarithm. Let's rewrite that as log base e of x minus 1 over 3 equals 4. And then I could do the circle method here. So that will give me e to the 4 equals x minus 1 over 3. Okay, multiply by 3 on both sides. Trying to solve for x there. Okay, so that would give us 3e to the 4 equals x minus 1. If we add the x to both sides, or add the 1 to both sides, it will give us x over here, and it'll be 3e to the 4th plus 1.